You awake before dawn. The sky is still a bluish-gray hush over the thatched roofs of the village where you live. Outside your door, the faint clink of the bucket against the well lip, the soft murmur of your neighbors stirring, the low rustle of the wind through the reeds in the ditch. In this hour, you rise from your simple bed of straw in a one-room house, and you prepare for your tasks. But today, as you glance at your reflection in the polished metal plate on the wall, you notice the unruly fringe of hair across your forehead, the way the ends curl slightly or fall forward into your eyes. You remember that later today you'll trim it. After the scything, after the sewing, after the work, you'll make time for your hair. You go about your labor. You pick up your wooden bowl. You scoop the pottage's last dregs. You pull on your woolen tunic over linen shift. You tie the leather thong at your waist. You work the fields, turning the soil with the plow, binding sheaves at dusk. Yet you glance now and then at your hair, aware that though you are a peasant, you still carry hair on your head, and, like the rest of you, your tools, your clothing, your bowl, it needs care in its humble way. You are not the lord of the manor with a personal barber, nor the nobleman who displays long flowing locks braided in silk and ribbons. You do not have such leisure. Among yourself and your fellow villagers, you rely on simpler methods. One day, when the sun lowers and you gather in the village green, you might sit beside an older neighbor who holds a wedge-shaped knife, or perhaps a pair of small shears, and you watch as the fringe and sides are trimmed. The style is often blunt, a primitive bowl cut, perhaps, kept short so it will not interfere with work, weeds, wind, thorny brambles. Indeed, the bowl cut style is documented among working men of the Middle Ages because it was low maintenance. You feel the knife's edge as the neighbor places a bowl over your head, literally, the rim marking the line under which the hair is cut. You hear the faint scrape of metal on bowl, the snip-snip of shear blades, the rustle of loose hair falling into your lap. The ambient hum of the afternoon fields continues, distant birds, the thwack of scythes, the bleat of a sheep. You breathe the smell of damp earth and hay, and you feel a slightly cool draft on your nape as the long, straight hairs drop away. Why this method? Because you are a peasant. You cannot afford to go into town frequently, to pay a barber who might also double as surgeon or dentist in guild towns. You cannot leave the land for a day if the harvest demands you. So you keep your hair short. You keep it humble. When you tie it back, you often cover it with a linen coif or simple wool cap. For women in the village, the hair is braided, gathered into a bun, or tucked under a kerchief, simply because it must stay out of the way of kitchen fires, laundry tubs, churning butter. You listen now to the ambient sounds, children's laughter in the distance, a dog barking at the edge of the field, the gust of wind over the hill. And you feel the neighbor's bowl method finish. A little clip here, a little trim there, a final wipe of your neck with a rag soaked in water from the well. Then you rise. You thank the neighbor. You feel the fresh air at the base of your skull. You run your fingers through your hair, and you sense the difference. Later, you visit the market. You walk along the muddy lane toward the traveling merchant's stall. The chatter of villagers, the clink of wooden mugs, the smell of roasted chestnuts in autumn, the bell of the church in the distance. Your haircut finds no comment. In fact, among peasants, a clean, practical haircut is unremarked. What is remarkable in the manor or town is the long, curled hair of the elite. But here, you work the land. Your hands are cracked from plowing work, your boots dust-caked, your hair short and out of the way. You recall that in ecclesiastical contexts, the haircut becomes symbolic. Monks have the tonsure, the crown of the head shaved as a sign of humility and devotion. But you are not a monk. You are a peasant. Your haircut is functional, and yet there is community in it. You and your neighbor swap gossip as he trims your locks. Did you hear about old Marta's pig running off into the woods? You chuckle. You shift your weight. He says, "Better trim your hair now. Mud and straw will cling to you come harvest time." You agree. You tip him a coin or hand him a loaf of bread, whatever you can spare. You go home, your hair still damp from the rag, a little stiffer from the dampness from the morning mist. You sit by the hearth after the sun sets. You eat your simple supper. Outside, you hear the creak of the door as the village dog jumps in. You hear the soft crackle of fire, the distant crow of a rooster preparing for next dawn. You reach for the wooden comb, homemade, with wide teeth, crude but serviceable, and you comb the hair, remove the few loose bits, and smooth it back. You tie the cap when you head to sleep. Sleep comes, and you rest, your hair freshly cut, ready for another day.
When morning comes again, you awaken to the subtle clink of the water jug and the hush of the field as first light strikes. Your hair, trimmed the day before, feels lighter on your scalp. But you know that the upkeep continues. You walk outside, feel the dewy air on your neck, and you recall how many of the tools you use for grooming are repurposed from field life. A sharp knife from the kitchen, a bowl from the cooking hearth, a bowl-shaped hat or cap that can mark the haircut line, a linen rag for wiping. There is no luxurious barber pole outside the village green. There is no red and white spiral of a barber shop in your world, because in your rural life you rely on what you have. You remember someone once told you, scissors were expensive, and the barber surgeon in town cost time and coin. And indeed, for many peasants, a trip to the town barber just for a haircut would mean a lost day in the fields, lost yield, lost grain. So it makes sense that your haircut ritual is communal, simple, frugal. The bowl method, the knot trimming, the short back and sides, they are sensible. You step into the sunlit yard and begin your day. You feed the chickens. You milk the goat. You carry buckets of water. Your hair keeps out of your face. A stray lock may fall across your forehead, but you tuck it behind your ear. Your neighbor's child runs past you chasing a chicken. The ambient sound of clucking, chirping, the distant tolling of the church bell, the rhythm of village life carries you. Later in the afternoon, you pause in the shade of the barn. You pull off your wool cap and feel the breeze. You take a moment for your hair again. You pick up the wooden comb and run it through. Tiny bits of straw from the hay cling to the ends. You pluck them free. You notice the ends are blunt. They were cut only a day ago, yet already you must pay attention because the life of a peasant demands practicality. Your hair cannot grow wild and hamper your work. It must be manageable. In this moment, you reflect. You are part of the so-called those who work in medieval society. The first estate, those who pray. The second, those who fight. And you, the third, the laborers. You live under the manor lord's eye. You pay labor and rent and part of your harvest. But you also live with your community, your family, your neighbors. And your haircut ritual is modest, communal. The knives, the bowls, the gossip during the trim, they fit into the fabric of your social existence. As dusk approaches, you walk to the village well. You squat on the low wooden bench, your bowl and rag at your side. Another neighbor arrives. You share stories. "I trimmed mine last Tuesday, and already the sun's bleaching the edges," you say. He nods. You talk of the upcoming harvest festival, of the pig roast, of the traveling minstrel who might come next week. The haircut sits quietly in the background of that conversation, an unremarked part of life, yet still one of the small signals of self-care and social belonging. You go back to your house. You light the hearth. The wood crackles and sends up a soft orange glow. You uncap your hair, comb again, and tie the linen cap for sleep. You listen to the ambient hush, the wind through the eaves, the swirling leaves outside, the livestock settling for the night. You feel relief in the short hair that lies flat, in the absence of tangles or long ends that might catch in the cloak or snag on the hayloft ladder. In a way, you think you are fortunate. You are not restricted by ornate hair fashions. You are not burdened by heavy braids and ribbons, nor by the hour-long combing and coiling that nobles endure. Your style is straightforward, practical, suited to the life you lead. And yet, there is dignity in it. Even among peasants, grooming matters, just adapted to your resources. With your knife, your bowl, your rag, you take care of your hair in the same way you take care of your fields. You labor, you tend, you cut back the unnecessary growth so the essentials flourish. You let your hair serve you, not distract from you. When you awake tomorrow morning, you will do it again. Remove the cap, comb, tie, and go to work. You will trim when needed. Perhaps the harvest will make you need a fresh cut in a few weeks. Perhaps the traveling monk will stop by and offer a cruder shave of your neck. Maybe the barber shop in town will be a luxury forever out of reach. But you'll manage. As you drift into sleep, you hear the soot-dark ceiling, the faint rust of the chimney wind, the last sigh of the hearth embers, and you rest. Your hair short, your body weary from work, yet content in the rhythm of simple tasks, community, and the quiet satisfaction